Ecclesiastes 3, verses 1 through 8. And y'all probably heard this. For everything there's a season, and a time for every matter under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck up what is planted. A time to kill, and a time to heal. A time to break down, and a time to build up. A time to weep, and a time to laugh. A time to mourn, and a time to dance. A time to throw away stones, and a time to gather stones. A time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to seek, and a time to lose. A time to keep, and a time to throw away. A time to tear, and a time to sow. A time to keep silence, and a time to speak. A time to love, and a time to hate. A time for war, and a time for peace. So I was thinking about seasons, and the seasons that change naturally, but also the seasons that we have in our own personal life. We have had probably 2 years now of a season of the let's see, a time to pluck up what is planted, a time to break down, a time to weep, like a time to throw away. We've had all of those things, right? And I don't want to say it's been difficult, but it's definitely been challenging for 2 years for us. Like 2023 started off really bad with a personal loss for Eric. And it didn't get a whole lot, the year didn't get a whole lot better for us business wise. And even this year, we were like, oh God, thank God 23 is gone. But even this year, it's been subtraction. The last 2 years have been years of subtraction for us. And that's okay, right? It's the demolition. We've been in a demolition phase for 2 years, personally, financially, business-wise, because there's a lot of things that y'all don't see that go on in our business. And because we own the business, it has a huge effect on our personal lives, right? So it's been a lot of demo for 2 years. So we're looking forward to 2025 and the time to build and the time to plant. But what this tells us is that even if you've planted something, it might be time to pluck it up. Might be time for something new, right? I like the thing about the time to throw away stones and a time to gather stones, because I started thinking about what were stones used for. Right now, stones are basically ornamental in your yard. Like people go out and buy big boulders to put in their yard, and we still use them for housing. But back in the day, they were used for fences. Like if you see pictures of like the English countryside or Ireland or Scotland, their fences have been there for hundreds and hundreds of years, and they're just stones stacked, right? They don't have fences like we have in Texas, barbed wire and all that kind of stuff, right? They have stone fences, and they were used to build homes. I'm not sure why the stones thing stuck out at me, other than there's a time to throw away stones. So if there's a fence around something, whether it's holding you in or it's keeping other people or things out in your life, maybe it's time to throw away some of those stones and take down those walls and those defenses and those barriers, right? And it's time to be more connected. I'm not really sure. I'm getting real emotional about this, and I'm not sure why. But there's a time to throw away stones. And then there's a time to gather stones. So one other thing that struck me about all of this is everything in here is a verb. They're not adjectives. They're not nouns. Well, I mean, stones is a noun. But everything requires action, whether you're planting or plucking up. It requires action on your part. So if you need to pluck some things out of your life, it requires action. If you need to break down those walls and throw some stones away, that requires action on your part, right? It requires a time to seek and a time to lose, right? All those things require action from you. There is even, which I find interesting for a biblical passage, a time to hate and a time for war. Now, I don't know that that necessarily means hate people, but at the same time, you can hate what someone's doing to you and in your life. And if you don't take action, right, you don't go to war with that in your life, right? A time for war, because sometimes there is a time for war, and you need to go to war for your own self, for your own well-being, for your own mental stability, right? And get things and people and habits and environments out of your life. You need to hate what that is doing to you enough that you're willing to go to war for your own self. I didn't know that's where that was going to go, but that's okay. A couple other things I wanted to touch on. Back in, because I date all my stuff, back in May, I talked about asking a question. What will it take? And all day long we ask questions about how much money does this cost? How much time is it going to take me? How much gas is it going to take me to go here? If I want to travel, like how much does a plane cost? How much does the hotel cost? How much do the groceries cost? How much does the electricity cost, right? But when is the last time that you asked yourself what it will take for you to get to the next level, for you to remove a negative situation, for you to remove a toxic person, for you to get your health on track, right? We obsess over hundreds of little tiny questions every day, but sometimes we don't spend enough time on the really big questions, right? The important ones. So what we need to ask, right, is why? Why aren't we at the next level? Why aren't we out of a situation we're in? And why isn't our health better, et cetera, et cetera? Like you plug in whatever why. If you're asking yourself a question about your life, plug that question in there, right? And if any of your answers, and this is what we talked about last week, accurate, truthful self-assessment. If any of your answers involve you saying, when you say why, if it involves you saying that someone has done something to block you or to divert your attention or whatever, right? Then you're living in a lack and victim mentality. Well, it's them, it's them, it's them, it's them. That's not accurate self-assessment, right? Like we said last week. Becoming aware of your own bullshit is the first step to change. I had to have that conversation in my office yesterday. Like, hold on. You want to say this person, that person, nope, 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 nope. You're in control of you, okay? And going back to contributing and determining factors, right? Determining factors are all inside of you. Contributing factors are all outside of you. So if there's outside things happening to you, those are just contributing to your situation. They're not determining your situation. What you do every day determines your path and your situation, right? Are you going to gather stones or are you going to get rid of stones? Are you going to go to war for what you believe in? Or are you just going to say, it's okay, it's all good, right? The lack versus abundance thoughts. Also, Myron Golden talks a lot about the law of polarity. Everything has two poles, right? Light, dark, advancement versus adversity, right? Gain versus loss, right? So remember that that's good news, right? If something seems difficult, there's going to be a benefit to it on the other side, right? You're going to get a benefit from that. So my note was, stop trying to get out of the difficult situation that's going on, because it's going to help you become who you need to be, right? So if you're in a situation right now and it's difficult and you don't like it, sometimes you got to stop fighting the situation and you yield to it and go through it and quit trying to figure out how to go around and find a way out. And this, remember we talked, like a few months ago, I talked about the buffalo, which I had no idea. And I heard this and I was like, even though I knew the person saying it to me was credible, I was like, wait a minute, this makes no sense. So animals, herd animals, when there's a storm coming, will turn and run. Buffalo do not do that. They turn and they go into the storm and they find high ground, because they know that if they move toward the storm, it's going to pass them faster than if they try to run from it. And what does that do? You expend way less energy moving toward the problem and getting on some high ground and getting perspective than you do running from the problem, because the problem is going to catch you anyway, right? Those cows, they may be running, horses, they're running, but the storm's going to catch up to them anyway. You're not going to outrun a storm. Like, and if you think that you can do that and you can outrun your problems, you have lost your mind. You have to go into whatever it is that you're facing with determination and be willing to go to war with whatever that is and whatever's inside of you that's making you turn around and run, because you're going to have to stop yourself. And that's not an easy thing to do, because we all get in a habit of running from a difficult situation. If you are here and you're finding it difficult to meet and greet people, or you're finding it difficult to get on the phone, or you find it difficult because different things are hard for different people. I'm not in sales because I don't want to pick up a phone and cold call somebody. No, never, ever. I don't ever want to do that. So I get it. That's why I like my office and my numbers, and they always do what I tell them to. You have to go straight into the problem, if you're having difficulty in the area of selling cars, that's probably because you're running from whatever it takes. Like Eric said, you got to do the reps, you got to do the reps, you got to do the reps. You're running from doing the work that you need to do to become proficient at that. Are you going to be the best closer? Maybe not. Are you going to be the best one at getting a cosigner? Maybe not, but you can become proficient, right? Because we have a whole team of people here who are really good at different things. But you need to be proficient at all the things, and there may be one thing. You may be the person that is, when you get on the phone, it's like, yep. Eric could get on the phone. He used to get out the phone book because we didn't have social media, and you didn't have he'd get out the phone book and start calling people. And he would get people in. Because he worked at it and he became the best at that, right? So, so listen, there's a season for everything. And if you are in a season of difficulty in your life, don't turn around and run away from it. Turn around, head on, get in it, get yourself a plan, right? Get yourself a plan on how to face that situation, whatever it may be. Personal, financial, fitness, food, it doesn't matter. You can get a plan for every aspect of your life. And look at it and write it down and go forward, right? There's a season for everything. Your plan may be to completely demolish a certain area of your life and start over, right? Time to pluck up, right? You've planted some stuff, it sucks, it's not growing, or you don't like what it's doing. You planted grapes and you find out you don't like grapes. Okay, pluck it up, put something else there, right? So just know that as we move into a new year, think about what's going on in your life, whether it's with relationships, whether it's in business, whether it's financial, excuse me. Figure out the season, right? Okay, I've been in this season, let's go. It's a new year. It's new beginnings. Let's move into a new season of our life and figure out how to move into that. It's not just, you're not going to wake up one morning and go, oh, like, right? Amazon's not bringing your new life. You got to get up and build it every single day, right? There's no point and click. There's no prime delivery. There's no order it now and get it between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. the next morning with your new life and your new situation, right? My life didn't get here by Amazon. Our life has taken us 20 years to build to get here. 20 years of hard work. 20 years of duking it out sometimes. Sometimes being on exactly the same page, the same sentence, the same word, and sometimes being on completely different pages and one of us going, what the hell are you doing over there? Like, come on, right? So figure out what season you're in. Get a plan. Write it down. Like Eric said, that's what we did. We wrote it down. Here's a goal. Okay, inside of that goal, there's these questions. Here's another goal. What are the questions in there? Here's another goal. What are the questions or action steps that we need to take, right? Get it done. New seasons. It's a new year. We have some new beginnings. It's exciting. It's my birthday. Tomorrow starts the first day of my 59th year, so I'm excited.